I've discussed this with you, and we were, for years or decades, we were waiting for planning guidelines for the turbines. And here we're on now to the newest craze, solar farms. You can't blame farmers because they're being enticed, to set the land for these, for long-term leases. And the best of land in the Golden Vale, in Waterford, in Cormac, and in East Cork, is being taken up. And just the sheer scale is scary. Farmers with 500 cows, maybe 800 cows, just ceasing production. There will be a food shortage if we don't have some balance here in this, and very, very soon. Thank you.
Let's go, Corner. Just for fear anyone mistakes me for the Minister for Climate or the Minister for Planning, I am the Minister for Agriculture. I accept the points that have been raised in that context. But I do want to put on the record, I was very supportive in the Programme for Government Talks for planning guidelines to come in around solar. I think it's the right thing to do. I think we need a bit of structure on that. And I understand exactly all the concerns that have been raised here by people representing their communities that are being fed back. I also recognise the right of farmers to get that blend right between playing their part for the environment and producing food, and also making sure they have a sustainable farm income. And I do think in terms of renewables in general, there is a role for them to play to supplement that income. And I particularly refer back to that point around the rooftop solar. Where, irrespective of the price of the sheep or the cattle or the grain or the cows in that shed on any given year, the year they're low, those solar panels on the roof will still give a return that will be a steady income. And income volatility is a huge challenge for our farmers. So it definitely, renewables has a role to play in supplementing farm incomes and encouraging the next generation of farmers to take it on, that there will be a more sustainable income there.
Question 84, Deputy McGrath.
Minister on behalf of, and talk to Barry Heenan and to ask the Minister indeed the funding update and participation levels by the scheme under Ireland's Common Agricultural Policy and Strategic Plan to date, and those supports, are they being geographically spread?
Thanks, Deputy McGrath. Look, the CAP Strategic Plan for 23 to 26 aims to improve the economic, social and environmental sustainability of Ireland's agri-food sector. It does this by supporting viable farm incomes and enhancing competitiveness by strengthening the socio-economic fabric of rural areas, and by contributing to the achievement of environmental and climate objectives at national and EU levels. The CAP Strategic Plan, or CSP, includes 28 different schemes or interventions, as they're known. CSP interventions range from income support measures to environmental interventions and include targeted measures to support young farmers and female farmers. Over 120,000 farmers in Ireland receive CAP supports with a combination of direct payments and targeted rural development supports. A list of all CAP beneficiaries is published each year on my department's website, including information on geographical distribution. My department also publishes an annual performance report, or an APR as it's known, each year. The APR for 2023 is available on my department website, and the APR for 2024 will be published shortly following approval by the European Commission. It should be noted that the CAP financial year 2024 runs from 16th of October 23, which is World Food Day, to the 15th of October 24. In the financial year 24, over €1.9 billion was spent under the CAP strategic plan. This includes €1.2 billion in CAP Pillar 1 direct payments, which are fully funded by the EU, and €700 million in co-finance payments under CAP Pillar 2, rural development and environment payments. Payments per beneficiary vary according to farm size, scheme participation and entitlement value for direct payments. Under the new delivery model for the CAP, there is a monitoring system for performance against each of the CAP objectives. 16 of the CSP result indicators relate to environmental objectives. The CSP Monitoring Committee meets at least once a year to review progress. It includes representatives from the European Commission, as well as a broad range of Irish stakeholders. And finally, in regard to funding uptake, I can confirm that Ireland is ahead of other EU member states in drawing down our share of EU funding in the CSP to date.
Deputy.
Policy has been a linchpin and a very, very important funding stream and supports for farmers for decades now. But I think there always comes a time when things need to be tweaked. That's why I asked for the geographic breakdown, or Deputy Heenan did, because we've seen the conglomerates in my own county in Tipperary and in the other parts of the country who are getting phenomenal payments under this scheme. And really there should be more balance, obviously, to the west of Ireland and poorer areas, land conditions and that. But certainly there should be more supports for agri-tourism and for different initiatives, environmental schemes, etc., for younger farmers and family farms. And it's kind of a table of the rich now when you see the publications every year, and the phenomenal figures by factory farms and by big conglomerates, as I said. And remember, these people are distorting the market in many other ways, because especially the food, the big production outlets who can dictate the price of cattle when they're scarce or when they're not scarce. So we need to have a re-examination of this and a recalibration of this scheme.
Yes, sir.
Look, I'll provide you with the table in written form as a result of this question as well. Happy to do that, to share that, which lists like the total expenditure per county of all its CSP schemes, the number of beneficiaries and the average per beneficiary. But it is quite even. And, if you look at your own county of Tipperary, had total expenditure of all its CSP schemes of 112,091,091,305 to a number of beneficiaries of 6,652. So that average per beneficiary works out at 16,851. So like you compare that with Carlow, which is 17,700, my own county of Kildare, 16,210, Kilkenny next door to you, 17,525, Laois, 15,750. There's a uniformity in terms of the average per beneficiary here, so it is quite balanced, it is quite fair, and we've seen that movement to fairness progress over previous caps as well.
In comparison there with the county and our neighbouring county, Kilkenny, the last Clonacola's county will be working other matters out on the field to play at the weekend, so hopefully it'll be a good game and may the best team win. But no, seriously, I accept those figures, but inside those figures, to get those averages, there are massive, phenomenal payments for big conglomerates and for stronger farms. So I'm talking about balance in my own county, but also balance to the west of Ireland and to ordinary farmers, because it's so vital that we keep these farmers in young family farms, because the conglomerates, as I said, they're gobbling up family farms. And every family farm has a family, and they support schools and they support the hurling teams and the teams of the future, and it's so vital. So whereas the support should be skewed in favour of the smaller farmers and the mixed farmers and the food production especially. So, it has to be recalibrated, because the figures are eye-watering, as I said earlier. And thank you for your reply.
Minister.
Deputy, I'd like to wish yourself and Lascon the best of luck in the hurling at the weekend, and as a proud Kildare man, we look forward to competing for Liam McCarthy with you both next year as well, after our win in the Joe McDonagh Cup. Let me just say to you, you can stand up here and you can talk sentiment, and you can mention the word conglomerates a number of times and everything, but the sentiment you're displaying is not borne out by the facts. The table breakdown here that I will provide to you afterwards shows that on average, per county, the average per beneficiary works out at €15,585. And as I would outline to you, in Tipperary, the average per beneficiary is 16,851. So there isn't that big disparity that you talk about. Your next door neighbour of Waterford is 18,209 to 2,273 beneficiaries, but that's the average per beneficiary. So irrespective of the county, of the model type, I'll give you Leitrim here is 15,005. So again, Leitrim and Tipperary, you talk about the Golden Vale and you talk about different counties' farming models when you go west of the Shannon. If you were to take the sentiment of what you said, there would be a very big disparity and difference in what's paid to farmers, and that's not borne out by the facts.
Deputy McGuinness.